All right, all right, all right. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, a little late start today, but it's been a crazy week. So no. All right, what's up, everybody? I'm your host, Price Manser, the hostess with the mostest, here to make the most of your day. Happy Thursday, everyone. It's been a crazy week to say the least, but we're here. We're podcasting. We're only starting 20 minutes late, but it's really fine. Like it's not a big deal. But we're here, and we're ready to get into it. So we're just going over a couple things this week. A lot of random stuff, really. That football off season. I'm a football guy. That's mainly what I talk about. But we're kind of at a point right now where it's like there's not a lot of football going on. Obviously, next week that'll change, or in 2 weeks that'll change with the draft and all that good stuff. So can't wait for that. Big plans coming soon for the draft, but. In the meantime, we got a couple, major events going on. The national championship just happened between Florida and Houston. We're going to talk about that a little bit. The Masters, of course, kicked off today, and we'll go through that a little bit, see what's going on with that. And then a little MLB recap. We're going to try and talk baseball, which, is going to be probably... I actually wrote something down this time. So last week we talked a little bit about it, but I didn't really have much. So I was kind of just yapping aimlessly. But this time we're not. We're locked in. We're dialed. So we're going to do a little MLB recap of just so far this season. And then, should make up for a great show. Hopefully it doesn't run too long over what we usually do. But that's fine. We're just gonna do the thing. We're just gonna do it. That's how we do. All right. Let's go ahead and switch over to the desktop real quick. All right, so as you can see, the national championship, Florida versus Houston. What a game! First of all, if you love defense like I do, this was just a fantastic game, right? So I watched the whole thing, and really, I mean, Houston and Florida both defensively play great basketball, right? You have Houston, who's always been known for their defense. That's why I pick them in my bracket every year. And they, played great defense, especially in the first half. Holding Florida to 28 points in the first half is really good. But, they just couldn't, they choked it away. Let's be real, they choked it away. They stopped Walter Clayton Jr. very well. As you can see, if we go to the box score over here, Walter Clayton Jr., played 35 minutes, but was only held to 11 points. And, he had 2 at half, I believe. So they did a great job in the first half stopping Walter Clayton Jr. They couldn't stop Richard, though. Is it Richard? Ricard? I don't know. But, shot 50% from the field, looked really good in 33 minutes. Got a lot of rebounds, 8 rebounds, 18 points. He played great. Alex Condon, he was eating up the rebounds down there. Looked really good. But I think Houston, in the first half, they looked great. LJ Cryer, 19 points. He looked really good in the first half. But in the second half, you kind of saw them lose, maybe not momentum, but they lost steam, I guess. Well, they did lose momentum because they lost a game. But defensively, they did not look, all that great. And we could talk about that final possession. That final possession was just awful. It was just so bad. And, Houston is a team where we saw it a lot in the tournament, especially in that game against Purdue, is where they draw up great plays and, win the game. Like the inbound against Purdue was a great play, and they won the game that way. But, the last possession for Houston in the national championship was just awful. Maybe they had a good play drawn up, but the Houston defense was just, or the Florida defense, my bad, was just too much. It was just so sad. Watching, I forget who it was, but just go up, and then Walter Clayton comes up, he doesn't shoot it, and then he just drops the ball to the ground because, what else can you do? It's going to be a turnover if you hold on to it. So, and then no one could touch it, and no one thought to touch it, and then the time just bled out, and that was honestly just an awful way to go out for Houston, really and truly, especially being up the majority of the game. Florida didn't go up until the final 8 seconds of the game. Florida was down. Their last lead was when it was 8-6 in the first half. And if you're Houston, you just can't go out that way. They went out sad. But what a great game to watch. really both teams played really great defense, and sometimes it's just how the cookie crumbles, right? So yeah, Florida versus Houston national championship. Great watch there. Next thing we're going to get into is the Masters a little bit. So kicked off today, right? And I've been watching it, kind of, doing my thing. But there's a lot going on right now. My brain's all over the place. But I still have been taking my time, watching the Masters. As you can see, Justin Rose in first place. It's always something wacky the first day, maybe. But, Justin Rose is a guy who's finished top 25, I believe, in the past, like 11 times in the past 14 Masters tournaments. So really, honestly, maybe not a surprise. Maybe it's a surprise to go 7 under, on the first day. I think that's pretty crazy. I'm not huge into golf like that, but the guys wanted to hear about it, so I'm going to say something about it, right? So Justin Rose looks great. Scotty, of course, 4 under. I mean, just he's going to be great. He won it last year, I believe, so it's going to be hard to beat him. But there's actually a lot of guys who I think have a legitimate chance to be great. And especially doing Masters fantasy this year. I don't know if you guys do that, but I do with all my buddies. A lot of people I talk to. There's a lot of guys do it. But anyways, just filling out my I guess my bracket, my group is I think what they call it. There are just so many guys that have the potential to be great. You got guys like Scotty's going to be Scotty. Rory McIlroy has been heating up recently, won the Players, and heating up. Minwoo just won in Houston. He looks great. You got Ludwig Aberg. I think I'm pronouncing that right. He's 3 under through 16. Bryson DeChambeau. 3 under through 15. Almost. I think he had a top 5 finish last year. Looking to make a nice little swing. Morikawa looked pretty good today. I think he finished even though. But, there's just so many guys who look good, And I would say Jon Rahm, but Jon Rahm has kind of sold me today. But anyways, let's get into it. Rory, you see the fall off here at 15 and 16. Yikes. But, it's just really good to see a lot of guys doing great. And I think it's actually going to be a really exciting tournament, keeping up with it. There's so many guys that are actually playing really well. Guys I'm hoping for, excuse me, no, sorry, my bad. But, my group on Masters Fantasy this year, it was, I had to go Scotty. I mean, you can't not go Scotty, right? And then I went, Cameron Smith. There we go. I did Maverick McNeely. I don't know where he's at. There he is right there. And then fortunately went Jon Rahm. You'd be like, where is Jon Rahm? He's down here somewhere, I think. Yeah, right here. 3 over through 15. Yikes. We hate to see that. And then I went Xander Schauffele, wherever he is at. Don't know. Oh, there he is. 1 over. I'm having a pretty rough Masters fantasy right now. I'm not going to lie. But, it's okay. I think all these guys are going to make the cut, which is good. And, we're going to get back. We're going to get so right. So, just a great tournament. Gotta love Masters Week. We're all here for it, right? But, yeah, is there any, surprises? Aaron Rye was doing... Is it Rye? I don't know. He was really good this week. It's just it's a great tournament. We love Masters Week. We love Masters Week a lot. But yeah, so that's the Masters leaderboard. I guess now we're going to get into the juice of our show, which is baseball. A little baseball, but I've been keeping up with it heavily this year, trying to get as much information as I can. Watching recaps and watching all the games, checking the box scores. Keeping up with it all. Doing the thing, I've been trying my best, and I've been focusing really hard on it. Football, I put in a great deal of effort into, probably the most for college, and, keeping up with guys, there's 135 teams, maybe 136 now, I think, in college football at the, at the FBS level, keeping up with all those teams, their players, who I think is going to be really good. I put in a lot of work with that. And same with the NFL, but, especially with this draft process and all that good stuff. But basketball, I do a good bit too, I gamble on it pretty much every day. But, I keep up with that extremely heavy, and I've been trying to do that with baseball. So, bear with me here, but I think it should be pretty good. I think I know what I'm talking about. Actually, I do know what I'm talking about. What am I talking about? Anyways, let's go ahead and get into it, right? So I'm just using, this is CBS's, power rankings from 3 days ago. But, we're just going to get into it, I'm just using it as a basis of teams to talk about. Obviously, I'm going to probably try and talk about all 30. What am I talking about? I am going to talk about all 30. What I've been liking this season, what I haven't been liking, just general things like that. Keeping it general. Maybe I'll do this, shoring this up and do this, once a week on the pod when I'm not talking about football, especially, when we get into the summer and stuff, I'm going to have to do it a lot. So I'm just trying to gear myself up for that. We've been doing big things with baseball. I'm trying to, get into that baseball mindset, which I am. I really am. I think I put in a lot of hours watching baseball, which is kind of funny for me. But, because, I never really watched, last season I watched baseball extremely heavy, but I didn't really, I watched it, but I didn't really, understand it. But now I'm trying to, understand it, and keep it going. So, anyways, let's just start with the White Sox. They don't got a lot going on, right? I mean, it just says they're on pace to go 36 and 126, which, is kind of expected, right? There's not much to say with them. They have Luis Robert. He's going to get traded, I believe. And they just can't hit. The offense is just not there. Starting pitching hasn't been bad. Starting pitching for them has not been bad. They got some guys. I think his name's Shane Smith from the Rule 5 draft, who's actually been a pleasant surprise for them. But, there's not much direction with this team. It's not looking great. The prospects, there's some good prospects in the farm system. Colson Montgomery is obviously a guy who's a candidate to, get called up later this year. But other than that, not much going on for the White Sox, right? Next, the Rockies. Once again, not much going on. They play at Coors. They get shelled. Their pitching sucks. No one wants to pitch there. You know what I'm saying? That's why, it's like Antonio Sensatella, Kyle Freeland, just to name a few guys. Their bullpen gets shelled every game. But, offensively, you got Ezekiel Tovar, who had a really great season, led the league in doubles last year. Britton Doyle, he's speedy, great defensive outfielder. Hit tool needs to come up a little bit. But I do like, a young core between Ezekiel Tovar and, Doyle, just two guys at the major league level. There's a step in the right direction, but there isn't much direction right now. You know what I'm saying? More than me. You probably do, Stu, honestly. But, they gave up on Nolan Jones early in the season. They traded him back to Cleveland, which makes no sense. But, this is not a team that, this team doesn't have a lot of direction. But I do like the prospects, right? Chase Dolander got called up this week. Looked pretty good in his first start. And, has electric stuff out of Tennessee. Has a fastball that touches 100 miles an hour almost. Probably 98 is more accurate. But, Zach Veen got called up this week, made his MLB debut. Looked good. Very fast player, PCA, Ellie De La Cruz kind of speed for Zach Veen. Looked pretty good. I think he could work on his hitting, but, he's in Coors Field, so, how good of a hitter do you really have to be to hit bombs? But, there are some pretty good guys in the farm system for the Rockies. You have Robert Calas. I think he's at Double-A right now, but he looks really good. And Charlie Condon, of course, their first-round pick from last year, who, went to Georgia, shout out, insane college stats, but I think he's hurt right now. So we'll see what it looks like with Condon, right? But I think, the Rockies, you kind of have some young guys who could make an impact in the near future, especially, the big name being Chase Dolander. Next is the Pirates. Like what the article says, it's Paul Skeens, That's about it, honestly, for the Pirates, right? Skeens has been great. He got touched up a little bit by the Cardinals in his last start, but historically, you look at, I think the stat was like games where Paul Skeens has given up he's only given up more than 3 earned runs in 4 games, and 3 of those games are against the Cardinals. So I guess the Cardinals are the kryptonite for Paul Skeens, but gave him his worst start of his career. Is probably that dang interview he did with Livy Dunn, to be honest, that CQ interview that got into his head. Boom, 5 earned runs. But he's been great nonetheless. And, he looks like one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball, and he is one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. But the offense right now for the Pirates is just not very good. And neither is the rest of the starting pitching or any of the pitching other than Skeens, right? David Bednar needs to be released. He's awful. He can't pitch. I think, you got walked off by the Marlins 3 times because David Bednar sucks. What is there else to really say? I mean, McCutchen is really good. McCutchen is batting like 300. So that's really good. IKF, Isaiah, I don't know how to say his name. But anyways, he looks pretty decent. But, your big hitters, which, the guys you kind of expected to be good and that you need to be good, the O'Neal Cruzes, the Brian Reynolds, they just keep striking out. And that's not good. The batting averages are not good. The on base is not good for both of them. Even O'Neal Cruz, I feel like, hasn't looked great in the outfield. So, there's just a lot wrong with the Pirates right now. And we kind of expected this, right? We had Josh on the show, our MLB expert, and he was telling me that the Pirates are just not going to be great. And it's true. I mean, they look really bad, minus when Paul Skeens pitches. But they did get some wins against the Yankees, so maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Next up, we're going to talk about is the Reds. And the Reds, I feel like it's been pretty classic for the past couple of years for the Reds, is that they have a great pitching. They have a team ERA of 3.15, which is great. I think it's 4th in the MLB. But, the team average for hitting is just 206. They can't hit. They're all defense, no offense. Their top 3 pitchers have been great. Hunter Green, looking like the ace we've been wanting him to look like for the past couple of years. Nick Lodolo has only allowed 2 runs total this season. And Brady Singer hasn't given up a home run this season. So, the top 3 pitchers for the Reds look really good. But, it's just all defense, no offense. The hit tool for really any of their players hasn't been great this season. That's what the team average says. But, it's only been 2 weeks. So, we have a lot of season left to go. But it just has not looked very good. Next, we got the Athletics. And I love watching this team play, honestly. It is so fun. Like the guys they have, you got Shea Langeliers, Lawrence Butler, J.J. Bleday, Brent Rooker, Jacob Wilson, Tyler Soderstrom. Like these guys, it's a fun team to watch, especially for an Angels team or an Athletics team that has been really bad the past couple years, with them moving out of Oakland and whatnot. But, I love watching them play, honestly. Sacramento has been brutal to them playing in that park. They get scored on a lot, but they also score a lot, which is it's like, you're kind of juggling it. Jacob Wilson has been amazing since he's been in the majors. Obviously made the opening day roster, was a legend in AAA for Las Vegas, but he has been amazing so far to start the year. I think he has batting like 385 with like a 470 on base percentage. But Jacob Wilson has been really good. Tyler Soderstrom has been hitting bombs. Lawrence Butler has been really good. Brent Rooker has 4 home runs. There's such a great offense, really and truly. And it's like, you kind of been watching the Athletics kind of build this team. They get, Shea Langeliers in the trade for Matt Olson. And Lawrence Butler has been developing great. Jacob Wilson has been developing great. So really and truly, they have a great offense. The pitching needs some work, but even guys like JP Sears have not been bad this season whatsoever. But it is the A's. So will they trade the whole roster away in about a week? Or not about a week, but by the deadline we'll see. But I think they do have a nice little little stepping stone. Honestly, they're going in the right direction, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were better, this year than people expected. Right. Next up, we got the Nats. I really like the direction this team is going. Right. I think there's a really good young core of hitters. You got James Wood, Dylan Cruz, C.J. Abrams, Keibert Ruiz. I mean, these guys all have a lot of potential, and Keibert Ruiz is maybe more on the older side since he's 26. But honestly, this team is offensively has a lot of potential, especially if Dylan Cruz can find the bat. He's been struggling so far in the majors, but he's going to bounce back. It's Dylan Cruz, hopefully. But, this is a team I think offensively has a lot of potential. Pitching-wise, obviously you have Mackenzie Gore. Mackenzie Gore, disgusting lefty. I love Mackenzie Gore. But, other than that, the pitching does need some work. But I think, this is a team that in the next couple of years could, turn some heads. Who knows? It's really hard for them, especially in a really competitive division. But we'll see how it goes, right? All right, let's keep it going. The Marlins. Honestly, it's like through 2 weeks into the MLB season where we are right now. Who has the Marlins being 500? Not me, honestly. The outfield defensively has been great. They look so good in the outfield. It's kind of insane. The bullpen has done a really good job at limiting runs. Sandy Alcantara, of course, has been coming back to his old form a little bit. Maybe not as good as that 2021 season, but it's definitely an improvement from his top, from when he got Tommy John in 2023, I believe. But he looks a lot better. Max Meyer has been a pleasant surprise for them, I think. He's kind of a guy who has had a lot of potential. He's been talked about for a long time. But, he's been doing really good. He's got 15 strikeouts on the season and 2 starts, I believe. So it's really good for the Marlins. It's definitely a step in the right direction. But, this is a team really and truly that strikes out a lot, but also gets a lot of hits. You know what I'm saying? And for a small market team like the Marlins are, maybe it's not the worst thing. But I think there's definitely a direction for this team. Obviously, I don't think they're going to sustain being 500. But they definitely, there's some good prospects down in the minors, and I think they really have a chance to turn, something around in the next couple years, right? Next up is my Braves. Oh my gosh. Where do I start, right? This is really the most unlucky team in baseball right now. 7 away games versus the top 2 teams in baseball between the Padres and the Dodgers. Profar gets suspended for 80 games, can't play in the playoffs because of the PED stuff. We talked about it last week a little bit. The bullpen has been disgustingly bad. Iglesias has only been able to get a save once and maybe twice and got walked off on by Shohei Ohtani the first time, but finally got one against Miami, or maybe the Phillies. I think it was the Phillies. But it's just, the bullpen has been really bad. And the injuries have been really bad, right? Obviously not having Strider, Sean Murphy going down in spring training, and, Acuna being hurt, it's bad. And then, Brian De La Cruz, hasn't been really filling the gap. But, you're having to start guys you weren't really expecting to start, right? Like Nick Allen. And it's just been pretty rough. But there is some good news for the Braves, honestly. I think, the turnaround is going to start to happen. Sean Murphy's looked really good since being back. He came back a couple days ago. Smacked a home run in his first game back. Looked good in the second game against the Phillies. Austin Riley's been picking it up this week. He's got a couple home runs this week and looks really good. Strider, just around the corner, had a really good minor league start at Gwinnett. I think he struck out 8 in 5 innings. And Spencer Schwellenbach has obviously been really good. He was really good to end last season, and he's still, shoving, honestly. I think they'll bounce back for sure, especially when Acuna gets back, Strider, all those big names, and the offense will wake up for sure. It's just right now, shortstop is rough, and, we're having to start guys that we normally wouldn't start. Bryce Elder is getting starts. Ronaldo Lopez is on the injured list. And then AJ Smith-Shawver, who is kind of one of those 4A guys. It's pretty rough. It's just pretty rough. The Braves are in a rough spot right now, but I do think they can bounce back. I have faith in Alex Anthopoulos, Anthopoulos, is that how you say it? I don't know. But AA, we got big faith. Anyways, I think they'll be fine, is what I'm trying to say. Next up is the Rays, and the Rays, it's rough because home games hurt this team, right? You're playing in a minor league ballpark, and the wall is like 317 feet, so that hurts them. But pitching wise, like their starters have not been bad at all. Drew Rasmussen, Shane Baz, and Ryan Pipio have been great. The top three starters, they don't give up runs. And they got really good strikeout stuff, especially Pipio this season. He's been really good. And they got reliable hitting. Cameron Misner has been really good, hitting. He hit a walk-off in their first game, I believe. Brandon Lau has been really good. Christopher Morel, Junior Caminero, he's got insane bat speed, hit his first home run like yesterday. But, has great potential in Junior Caminero. But, Christopher Morel, former Cub, has been really good. Brandon Lau, Cameron Misner, like there's a nice little core, honestly, in Tampa Bay. And, Tampa Bay is always, I feel like, kind of just been like a sneaky good team. Of course, they went to, I think, the World Series a couple years ago. Was it 2020 they went to the World Series? I don't remember. But, I think this is a team that's sneaky good. Especially when, they have guys on the IR, or the IL, sorry, we were talking baseball, like Shane McClanahan. And, they have some guys that I think could really make a difference, especially once McClanahan comes back, if he comes back this season. Next, we got the Mariners. And Mariners, like, low-key disappointing season, right? I feel like this is a team that was really hyped up to start the year, because they have elite starting rotation, right? Between Logan Gilbert, Luis Castillo, Brian Wu, Bryce Miller, just like those four guys, and whoever they have at their fifth guy. I guess it's what's his name? I don't remember. But anyways, George Kirby, but he's hurt right now. But anyways, great five starters. But obviously, Gilbert has been hurt, or not Gilbert. Sorry, my mind's blanking. Sorry. George Kirby. I didn't even know why I clicked it. Anyways, George Kirby. I think Bryce Miller has also been hurt to start the year, or maybe it was Brian Wu, one of those two. But kind of disappointing, right? Castillo did not look great in his first start, but he definitely bounced back. Logan Gilbert has been insane. But they can't hit, really and truly. They don't really have any bats. J-Rod has not been good. But he has been, like, he's got, I think, like, he's got a lot of RBIs, but his batting average is just awful. Randy Arozarena has been really good. Kind of expected he hit a grand slam yesterday, but it's really and truly been a struggle for them offensively. Like, they are a team, like, I guess I'm pretty sure Seattle's ballpark is pretty pitcher friendly. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what I've heard. But it's like it's been a kind of a struggle for them, right? But we'll see. They've got a lot of season left. It's only been 2 weeks. The Twins. Like this article says, the Twins are 2-1 against the White Sox and 2-5 otherwise. So half their wins have come against the White Sox. Pablo Lopez got injured like yesterday, which is not good. And it could be a rough year for the Twins. I mean, you see it here. Pablo Lopez got the hamstring injury. Brian Buxton, of course, he's hurt. Whoa, sorry. But, MRI, he's got a strained MRI, likely bound for the injury list. So that's kind of a huge blow. Pablo Lopez has been really good for the Twins to start the year. So, kind of sucks. The Twins kind of, I think, might suck again, even with Buxton and Correa. I think they have Correa, do they? Don't quote me on that. Let me look. Yeah, they do. Look at that. I know my ball. I know ball. Really and truly, I know ball. Anyways, next up, the Guardians. They haven't had a single home game this season, which is kind of insane. Like 2 weeks through the season, they haven't had a single home game. But J-Ram has been really good, and he's always going to be good. I mean, it's J-Ram. But, he's been great. Carlos Santana has been really good through the first 2 weeks of the season, which is kind of surprising. But their pitching has been blown up this season. Like, it's been bad. If you even look at, like, starters right now, like, let me go to stats. Sorry. I mean, you look at guys like if you look at the starters, bear with me. If you look at the starters, Ben Lively's got a 4.4 ERA. You know, Gavin Williams 4.5, Tanner Bybee 6.5, Luis Ortiz 8.4. Like it's just the starting pitching has not been good, and the bullpen. You know, they have some guys in the bullpen who are pretty good, but you know, Paul Sewald has sucked. Emmanuel Clase has been like a shell of his former self, and Tristan McKenzie has been blown up. And I, as a Tristan McKenzie lover, like it's so sad to me. But you know, they can't figure it out in the bullpen. They give it up late, and then their starters get shelled as well. So the pitching has not been great for the Guardians. Next is the Cardinals, right? Cardinals had an excellent start to the year. They're coming back down to earth though, and this is a team I could see making a lot of moves close to the deadline. Like your ace is Sonny Gray, which isn't great. Nolan Arenado is just stuck there, and you know, I do think they're going to blow it up soon, especially if they keep losing games. Ivan Herrera is out for at least 4 weeks, who's their catcher who had 3 home runs in one game, and the replacement for Wilson Contreras. But you know, I do think the blow up's coming, but they have been hitting really well. It's just the pitching is just awful, and I think we'll see that more as we get closer into the deeper into the season. Sorry. Next is the Angels. The Angels are one of my favorite teams to watch this season. Like they just hit tanks. They just hit absolute nukes. They're second in the AL West, but like the hitting has just been insane for them. Mike Trout has been hitting nukes. Kyron Paris has been hitting nukes. You know, kind of a prospect guy, you know, getting his first looks in the major league, and went to the same guy that taught Aaron Judge his swing and is now hitting tanks. Logan O'Hoppe is trying to be one of the best hitting catchers in the league. He's got 4 home runs, I think, so far. Soler has been hitting home runs. Like, they just been hitting nukes. And then other than a few relief pitchers, they honestly have been pitching pretty good. Obviously, the Yusei contract is not great, but he hasn't been that terrible. For the money, it's pretty rough. But, you know, guys like Kyle Hendricks have been really good. Who else am I thinking of? Hold on. I'll get there. But guys like, you know, Yusei hasn't been bad. Jose Soriano has been pretty good. Tyler Anderson hasn't been that bad, but like Ian Anderson has been, like, there's some guys that have been really bad. But honestly, the starters aren't that bad. Like, Kyle Hendricks has been really good. Kenley Jansen just got his 450th save. So, you know, I mean, it's not the worst. It could be so much worse. And that's why they're second in the AL West, which is kind of surprising. Honestly, I don't think a lot of people were expecting it. But we'll see how long they hold on to it, how long the offense stays hot for that Angels team. Next up is the Jays, the Blue Jays. You know, Vladdy got paid 14 years, $500 million. And honestly, I think he kind of deserves it. You know, I've heard a lot of people talking about how, you know, glorified DH. But, I mean, this is a guy that almost hit 50 home runs a couple seasons ago. And, you know, the only reason he didn't win the MVP was because Shohei Ohtani existed. So, really and truly, I mean, I think it's justifiable to pay Vladdy. I think he deserves it. The pitching has been really good between Kevin Gausman. What is it? What is his name? Kevin Gausman. Sorry. I got y'all. But Easton Lucas, who's been a pleasant surprise for them, has not given up a single run this season. Chris Bassett hasn't been bad. Bowden Francis hasn't been that bad. Kevin Gausman, he got hit around a little bit in his first start, but his last start was really good. And Jose Barrios even had a good last start. So, you know, it hasn't been that bad for Toronto. And the bats are there, right? George Springer. You see him, he's batting .459 with a .524 on base. Bo Bichette, batting .314. Like, this team is kind of coming back, I think. And they haven't hit a lot of home runs this season, but they do score a lot. Especially in the past couple games we've been seeing, they've been doing a really good job scoring the ball. Next is the Orioles. The Orioles rotation is so bad. It's so sad to watch. Because, you know, I feel like the Orioles, you know, they have Kyle Bradish, Grayson Rodriguez, Dean Krimmer. But, you know, the rotation has just been terrible. Especially now that their ace ace Zach Eflin is hurt. Uh, Yikes, right? It's looking really bad. Eflin's on the 15-day. They aren't hitting well right now. Jackson Holiday still has not been that great. Charlie Morton has sucked. It's bad. It's honestly really bad right now. I think their best hitter right now is Cedric Mullins, which Cedric Mullins isn't a bad hitter by any means, but when your team is Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Jackson Holiday, guys like that, you kind of need something else, in my opinion. And it's sad for the Orioles because, this is a team that made a late playoff push, made the playoffs, I believe, but got first rounded. But, obviously there's reinforcements coming for the Orioles, so they're not that bad off. The Royals also kind of like a fun team to watch if you like pitching, especially. Like the article says, Urseg and Estevez are disgusting. Like they're actually disgusting, especially at the end of a ball game. Like, whew, that is a tough two relief pitchers to face. Bobby Witt is probably the best player in baseball right now. He's been great. Cole Reagans looks like he can win the Cy Young. He's definitely going to compete with Tariq Skubal for it. But even past Cole Reagans, like Chris Bubich, Michael Lorenzen, and Seth Lugo, all four of those guys, or I guess four including Reagans, have been really good. It's a great pitching staff in Kansas City. So I think that's what will really carry them, especially their bullpen. Their bullpen has been really good. Urseg, Estevez, Jonathan Loizaga, just to name a few guys. Does Loizaga play for the Royals, or am I tripping? I might be tripping. Am I tripping? Okay, I'm tripping. Yeah, because Loizaga definitely plays for the Yankees. Anyways, we're not going to talk about it. I think I meant John Schreiber. Anyways, let's continue. Next up is the Brewers. So the Brewers, first week of the season, they just got shelled by the Yankees. But, looking back now, the Brewers 7-5, 5-1 in April. Was the series just an anomaly? I've been getting to think so. Jackson Chourio is my age and is absolutely destroying baseballs, which is not fair, but it's fine. Bryce Terang. He looks like he could be one of the best second basemen in baseball. The guy steals bags. He's hitting homers, and he's got platinum level defense. Like, it is insane. Bryce Terang looks great. The Diamondbacks. What happened to their rotation? I remember hearing before the season started that the Diamondbacks could have a top 5, even top 3 rotation in baseball. And they've been getting shelled. Like, their starters have like a 5.96 ERA. That's what it says right here. Like, Corbin Burns got shelled in his last start. Zach Gallen got shelled in his last start. Brandon Pfaadt has gotten shelled. Merrill Kelly's gotten shelled. Like, it's been rough. And then to add insult to injury, literally, Ketel Marte got hurt, and he is the best second baseman in baseball. Last season put up MVP level numbers from second base. And now they've just been on a skid. They need to call up Jordan Lawler, but they're not. And, it's been pretty rough for the Diamondbacks so far. Next is Houston, the Astros. And, Hunter Brown is him. I bet on him in my season parlay for MLB. And Hunter Brown is him. He looks great. And obviously, they have Framer Valdez, who looked really good in his last start. Spencer Arrighetti, but he just got hurt, and that's already a kind of a hurt rotation for Houston. We can look at it right now, see who's injured. It's, Lance McCullers, Christian Javier, Luis. It's just all starters, and which kind of sucks for them. But even then, like, they have it at least between Framer Valdez and Hunter Brown. It hasn't been bad. Ryan Alblanco was just not good in his first 2 starts, though. Anyways, they need to move Altuve out of left field as well. Altuve has been hitting great, but they just need to move him out of left field. It's bad. The defense, Altuve's defense in left field has been horrible. The Tigers, wow. Honestly, what a surprise, right? They look great. They're good at baseball right now. The pitching, really good. Tariq Skubal. You got Jack Flaherty. And even Casey Mize has been really good to start the season. Is Spencer Torkelson back? He's batting .310. Got, I think, 4 home runs. Spencer Torkelson looks really good. Riley Green, super underrated outfielder, has been great for them. And then even Javi Baez. What's been going on? Like, are we turning it back? Like, it's kind of crazy. So, shout out the Tigers. Is it sustainable? I mean, only time will tell. But I think, for right now, this team is looking really good. And next we got the Cubs. Yeah, the Cubs look good. You know what I'm saying? Like, their offense is so much fun to watch. You got Dansby with the torpedo bat. He's been really good. Kyle Tucker, Ian Happ, Seiya Suzuki, Nico Horner, Carson Kelly. All guys have been really good with the bat. Nico Horner, I think, is batting almost 400 to start the year. Carson Kelly hit for the cycle the other day. But all these guys have been really good. And the pitching has been really good as well. Justin Steele, he's given up a lot of runs, but, he's had a couple good starts. Shota Imanaga has been great. And I forget what is his name. Hold on. Is it, hold on, I got this. Matthew Boyd, been really good. Like, the Cubs have been a very fun team to watch. I think they have one of the best offenses in baseball. Next is Red Sox. The Red Sox are waking up, right? They had a pretty rough start to the season, but, Devers been cleaning it up this week. The pitching has looked good. Wilyer Abreu is him. Give him the MVP. Christian Campbell could be Rookie of the Year. Bregman, he's always going to be good. And they locked up to Garrett Crochet for a long-term deal. And the pitching has been really good. So, they definitely are going to bounce back. Like, they just had a rough start. But the Red Sox are going to bounce back, and they look really good. The Mets, the Stars haven't been great. Lindor, he's starting to heat up now, like this week. But the past couple games, like, he has started to heat up, but before that, it's been looking rough. Soto still hasn't been all of that. I think he's only hit 1 home run so far this season. But, he's going to wake up. It's Juan Soto. Like, it doesn't matter. Pete Alonso, 15 ribbies. I mean, Pete Alonso has been electric. He leads the league in RBIs. And it's been really good to watch. Because this is, a lot of teams were thinking that the Mets weren't going to pay, Pete Alonso, or that, his time was running out. They wanted Vladdy. Obviously, Vladdy is now a Blue Jay. But, Pete Alonso has been great. The pitching has been amazing for the Mets. I mean, they lead the league in team ERA with like 2.15. You got Kodai Senga, Tyler Megill, Griffin Canning, and David Peterson have all been insane. Clay Holmes has like the highest ERA out of all of them, and it's only a 3.3. So the starters have been great for the Mets, and the bullpen has just been great as well. I mean, minus a few guys getting shelled, the bullpen has been great for the Mets, and they just don't give up a lot of runs. So, you just need the bats to warm up, really, for the Mets, and then things could get dangerous in the East, right? Next is the Yankees. Even without Garrett Cole, the rotation has been kind of sus, right? Because, you got the injury to Garrett Cole, who's out for the season. Louis Heel, he's out. Clark Schmidt is also out. So you have Rodon and Fried, which is a great two. Fried looked great in his last start, struck out 11. Rodon kind of got touched up a little bit. But, other than that, looked pretty good. But, the rotation just needs work. To say the least, Marcus Stroman sucks. That's about it. But, the hitting is elite with that team. Obviously Aaron Judge has been great. Josh Chisholm with the torpedo bat has been great. Goldschmidt is batting like 360 something. Ben Rice, Volpe has 4 home runs. Like, the team looks really good, especially hitting. But the rotation is just awful. The bullpen has been decent, but the rotation is just awful. So next we got the Padres. And the Padres had a great start. But, if I'm a Padres fan, I'd be worried about some things. Tatis just injured his shoulder. Jackson Merrill, the best hitter on the Padres right now, just got hit. He just got put on the injured list. Jake Cronenworth is now out with a rib injury. So there's a lot of injuries with this team. Dylan Cease has kind of had a weird start to the season. But, they're 10-3. They swept my Braves. But, there's some questionable things. Luckily, Machado is still really good. But things might be looking dangerous for the Padres here, when the offense dries up because of injuries. But we'll see how it happens. We'll see how long Cronenworth and Tatis are out. But, could be scary. Next is the Giants. Wow. The Giants have a great team, right? I mean, the pitching has been electric. Robbie Ray and Logan Webb have been amazing. Justin Verlander has not been good. And it's so sad to see, because, you grow up watching Justin Verlander absolutely shove. But I think it was yesterday, he just got shelled. It was so bad. Jung-Ho Lee, the Korean, leads the league in doubles right now. He's been great. It's good to see, this is a guy who got hurt at the beginning of last season. The Giants spent a lot of money to bring him over, but he's been great to start this season. Elliot Ramos has been really good. Wilmer Flores, Matt Chapman, Mike Yastrzemski. This is a great team to watch, and they have a lot of really hot bats right now. So it's just such a fun team to watch. But, let's move on. The Rangers. The offense hasn't been great for the Rangers. But, there's so much potential, right? You have Marcus Semien. You have Corey Seager, Jonah Heim, Wyatt Langford, who's hurt right now, but, could come back. Jace Jung. Is that his name? I might be tripping. I think that's a prospect. Hold on. Josh Jung. Sorry, Jace is his brother. But Josh Jung, who's been hurt. You see this team. You see Jock Peterson, Jake Berger, Adolis Garcia. Well, how could I forget Adolis Garcia? Leody Taveras. This team has a lot of potential. Jonah Heim. This team has a lot of potential to be great, especially offensively, right? But, we haven't seen it much yet. But I think once the bats wake up, it's going to be scary hours for Texas. And, right now, look at the pitching, right? The pitching has been great, especially the starters. The starters, Nathan Eovaldi, a 2 ERA, 21 strikeouts, only a 6.66 whip. Jack Leiter has been really good to start the season, a .9 ERA. Tyler Mahle looked great in his last start. Jacob deGrom has been really good through 2 starts. But, Patrick Corbin and Kumar Rocker have not been great. But other than that, the pitching for this team has been really good. And once the bats wake up, this team is going to be scary. They're already top 3 in this power ranking. But, they have the potential to be number 1, really and truly. They just have a great team. Next is the Dodgers. And, do I even need to say anything about this team? The offense, it's been disgusting. Obviously, Andy Pages has been really good. I don't know why that's the first name that came to mind, but Shohei, Mookie Betts, this team is just so good. It's so sad. Tommy Edman leads them in home runs. Maybe that's a surprise. It's not Shohei, it's not Mookie Betts, not Freddie Freeman. It's Tommy Edman, but they just look amazing. So, there's not much to say. Tyler Glasnow's been disgusting. I think Blake Snell got shut down for a little bit. Let me see. Yeah, Blake Snell out with a shoulder injury, and same with Tony Gonsolin and Michael Kopech. But it doesn't matter, really, because, their relievers are great. Teoscar Hernandez is great. Blake Trianon has been really good. They have Yoshibu Yamamoto. Roki Sasaki did not look that bad in his last start. This team is just so deep. It's crazy. Next is the Phillies. They just look amazing. They get Jesus Luzardo in free agency, and Jesus Luzardo has been disgusting. We can look at it right now. But the rotation is stacked. I meant to go to stats. But you look at the roster, right? You look at the pitching. It's just been absolutely nasty. Zach Wheeler struck out 25, only barely allowing a batter per inning. Got touched up by the Braves in his last start, but Jesus Luzardo, 1.5 ERA, 19 strikeouts through 2 starts. And only 6 innings apiece, really. It's just been absolutely disgusting. Christopher Sanchez has been really good. Aaron Nola got touched up a little bit, and Taijuan Walker, with a 0 ERA through 6 innings. The pitching has been insane for them. And then, of course, the hitting, you look at it, Kyle Schwarber is him. Like, he just looks disgusting. It's crazy. 5 home runs already. Nick Castellanos already has 2 home runs. Bryce Harper's been good. Trey Turner's been all right. Bryson Stott's been all right. Like, this team is just so good. It's so scary to watch. But, you know, the Phillies, I think, rightfully so, the best team in baseball right now. So that's, you know, a little MLB recap. I don't really have much else, honestly. Switch it back to me. If you guys have any questions or anything, leave something in the chat. Say hello. If you guys have any questions, just ask. I appreciate it. Appreciate y'all watching. I guess we have nothing else. Sorry for the late start today. I tried to kind of rush through it, get it done on time. So I appreciate y'all for watching. Thank y'all once again for tuning in. It's been a little crazy, but, you know, we're getting it done. Can't wait for next week. We'll talk about probably baseball again, honestly. We'll figure it all out. Maybe I'll do another mock draft. I don't know. Maybe not. We'll see. Can't wait for, you know, April 24th is a big day for the podcast. We'll have our NFL draft watch party. We'll watch the whole thing. I'll probably do it with most drafts. Maybe not NHL because I don't know anything about hockey, but MLB, NFL, of course, and NBA. It could all be great. But, you know, thank you guys for tuning in again, and I'll see you guys next week. Follow me on social media.